Does crime fiction ever mess with your head? Crime fiction definitely can mess with my head sometimes. Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I want to talk about two crime novels in translation that messed with my head. I read these essentially over a weekend. They're short, they're quick, they're highly entertaining. First, I want to talk about Mygale, originally published in French in 1984 and revised in 1995. It was translated from the French by Donald Nicholson-Smith in 2005. It is only 129 pages long. In Britain, I believe the translation is Tarantula. You couldn't guess from the cover of the book, could you? Well, this short novel has a couple of different storylines. When you first start reading this, they don't seem connected, but they are connected. This is also a reread for me, so I understood the connection immediately, and I really liked how the author put this story together. So upon originally reading it, you do not understand what is going on, but everything is available to the reader to understand what is going on from the story. So let me give you some brief story outlines. There is a French plastic surgeon. His name is Richard. He is obviously very wealthy. He has a number of different servants. He has a housemaid. He has a chauffeur. He is taking care of a woman named Eve. She obviously has something wrong with her. She is sort of a prisoner and sort of not a prisoner. She is locked up in his house, but he takes her out to places like Paris and prostitutes her out and watches what she does with her clients. And then there is the story of a bank robber. He has killed a police officer. He is on the run. He has some money, but he has nowhere to hide. He does not know how he's going to get out of France. And then he sees a story on the news of a French plastic surgeon. Obviously, the French plastic surgeon is Richard. And he thinks, yeah, let's force this plastic surgeon to change my face so I can leave the country easily. And then there is another story. This one is told all in italics. It tells the story of a young man who has a motorcycle accident. And then he is picked up by Richard and imprisoned. And is the story of his imprisonment. Now, all these three stories are going to come together into one conclusion. It is a conclusion that I think it will upset some more modern readers. Our political views and ideas have changed a lot since 1984 or 1995 when this novel was originally published. But does that spoil the story? No, I don't think it spoils the story, but it may make some readers a little squeamish, a little bit upset, and say the author was not being correct in his views of the world. That's just a warning. I won't tell you what it is, but this was a great little crime story. And I loved, again, how everything came together at the end. And the final scene, well, that's a curiosity. I wish I could discuss it with people without spoiling it. Strange Pictures by Uketsu, translated from the Japanese by Jim Rion. This novel was originally published in Japanese in 2022 and is 236 pages long. Now, Uketsu is an oddity in and of itself. He is a Japanese YouTuber and author of unknown identity. He creates surreal short films and writes mystery and horror fiction. I am going to include a picture of Uketsu on over here. He is only seen wearing a papier-mâché mask and a black bodysuit. He claims that no one else, only 30 people, know his true identity. So he's one of those mysterious mysterious authors. Also, in his fiction, he incorporates pictures. Now, this is an unusual way to tell a story because there are a number of different types of pictures and drawings throughout the book. I will explain a little bit of how this book works. It starts off with a Japanese student. He's studying for some sort of exam, and his friend points out this website from about 10 years ago. It hasn't been updated, but he says it's a very strange website. It was a blog of an ordinary Japanese man. He's saying, "Yay, I'm married. I have a wife who's an illustrator. And she's going to be having a baby very soon." And he's very excited. It goes through a couple of his blog posts. Anything very normal about a young man excited about his wife having a baby, until he learns that this baby is going to be a breech birth. But there's not to worry. He says, you can survive a breech birth. Now, his wife, as I said, is a professional illustrator. And before she died, she made 5 very unusual pictures. All of those pictures are seen in this book. There's no real good page where you can sort of see all the 5 images right there. Let me hold it in the center, where you have an image of a man, a boy, a woman praying, and a baby. And all those pictures will have to be determined about what his wife wants, because his wife died in childbirth in this breech birth. She had a cesarean section and did not survive. That's really not a huge spoiler. You learn that very on. So does this Japanese student figure out what these pictures mean? Yes, he does. And it's kind of an interesting mystery because it gives you a little bit of insight into professional illustrations, on how professional illustrators make pictures for commercial clients. And that is a bit of information that I did not know. And then the story ends. It ends about 90 pages in. And then all of a sudden, you get a second story that, at first glance or first read, is not connected to the first story. And you're going, is this a collection of novellas? And no, it is not a collection of novellas, although there are a number of stories of short length that would be novella length that will make up the novel in its entirety. That is another difference of how this story is told. Normally in a mystery, you have something that happens, you have a detective of some sort who figures out what happened, and that's the story. In this, you get a number of different stories told from different perspectives, and at the end, you will find out the entire mystery of this novel. That makes it interesting, again, in of itself. But it's also the inclusions of all these illustrations. Now, some of these are not just illustrations. These are just sort of what you would sort of imagine someone doing in a police department investigating a murder. They have a whiteboard. They're chalking out what all the possible suspects were doing at the time that the murder was committed, because there are murders in this book. There's just not the death of the woman in the breech birth. There is a murder in the second and third stories, and they all come together. And I really enjoyed this book. This book was a gift from my friend Lee. She tends to read books, decides she's not going to read them again, and she sends them to me. And I really appreciate Lee for sending me Strange Pictures, because I loved this book. It's not perfect mystery. The prose is rather simple. I read this book essentially 150 some odd pages in an afternoon after I finished reading Mygale. And I read Mygale in 2 days. I've read half of it one evening, half in the morning, and then I did 2/3 of Strange Pictures in another day. And then the next day in the morning, I finished up Strange Pictures really rather quickly. So the prose is amazingly simple and quick-paced in Strange Pictures. I can highly recommend that if you want a mystery that's just a little bit different from your normal mystery, with a couple of features that you're not going to find in a lot of mysteries, pick this one up. I also have 2 other mysteries by Uketsu, Strange Houses and Strange Buildings. And now I'm really rather curious to pick up the next 2 in this Strange series by Uketsu, because I enjoyed them. And if you want mysteries that messed with your head, these 2 books, Mygale and Strange Picture, you can read these in a weekend if you set your mind to it. And it will. These books, they will mess with your mind. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.